Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer LB4313C-045-652 4.5-inch single acting. This is a special hinge. Lots of things. Single acting, self-closing, half surface, commercial grade hinge. These are unusual, these half surface hinges in a spring-loaded version, but nonetheless they exist, and we do sell them occasionally because they solve people's problems. First of all, let's dissect the part number. First of all, the LB part, the LB part of the part number is representative of the fact that this is a maintenance-free style lube bearing, is what they call that. The 4313 is representative of the fact that this is a 4313C, means that it is a single acting spring hinge, half surface, commercial grade or contract grade, in reference to the leaf thickness, okay, which means that this is going to mortise into a standard commercial hollow metal frame, 134 thousandths standard leaf thickness, okay, and you can, and very importantly, more importantly, that's going to mean that the axis of pivoting, the imaginary vertical line of this hinge along the entire height of the door, is compatible with standard full mortise hinges. So why that's important is you could have a steel door that's the top hinge on the door has become damaged or worn out or rusted or broken. Very common occurrence. You could attach this hinge to the frame at the top after removing the old hinge, and assuming that the plate, the welded plate inside of the steel door, assuming it's a steel door, or maybe a wood door that's been damaged, is no longer usable. You could take this leaf, drill the holes right through the door, and go back to business as usual. Okay, assuming it was a self-closing situation at some point. That's really important that is indeed the case, and a lot of people do it. You might have a door that's in a condo building garage level, where it's doors into a enclosure, maybe a garage, maybe a refuse room, and those doors would be fire rated typically because it could be a shaft of vertical enclosure with a trash coming down. This would be a good, just an imaginary application for that. Half surface means specifically that the leaf applied to the door, it's always the door, is the surface leaf. So by comparison, if you were talking about a half mortise hinge, the leaf that would be attached to the door would be the mortised leaf rather than the surface mount leaf. So if they say half surface, you know that it's the leaf that gets surface mounted is the one to the door. The door is always where that leaf gets applied to, depending on the name of the hinge or the type of hinge. You can kind of see how this installs. My hand would be the door, and the door would open towards you like this, and this is the leaf that attaches to the frame, to the mortised preparation in the frame. All screws are included, wood screws and metal screws for the frame leaf. That's typical that they would be included, although a wood frame would be unusual. And of course, sex bolts, and specifically here through bolt and grommet nuts to go through the door. Okay, you can order backing plates for these as well. Steel plate on the back should the door be very compromised, where it's the wall of the door is so flimsy or maybe rusted out as a result of water getting in and rusting the inside of the door. You might need to stiffen it up somehow. That would certainly be the case. So this is a spring hinge. Let's talk about that. This is also going to include a tension rod. Okay. It's also going to include a tension pin. That little silver pin is the tension pin. The black piece of steel is the tension rod. So what happens to set this tension, assuming in this example, and you can do it either way, but this hinge is non-handed, but if the tension collar is pointed up, you would insert your tension rod and turn it clockwise, and that would reveal new holes in the tension collar. And it's into those new holes that you would insert the tension pin. You could flip this over, just reverse your direction, okay, so no problem there. And once you set that in, the tension is then set on the spring inside of here. If you have, I couldn't really imagine a commercial grade door that would have only one spring hinge. Well, I could imagine it, of course. I couldn't imagine it working long term or being engineered correctly. You really should be starting off with 2 spring hinges on most commercial doors. If you really need it to close and close well. 1 spring hinge, you typically have to set the tension so high on the spring itself. The door really has to move quickly through the opening to get it to a closing point and latching. Sometimes it slams. A much greater amount of success is had when you've got more than 1 spring hinge, 2 or even 3, because then you can set the tension on there such that you're not overtaxing any individual hinge, and get the door moving with enough torque, let's say, such that you don't have to get the speed moving real quick to get it down to the closing portion. Nice smooth operation, even though it's a spring. I have found greater success in that regard. Although these hinges are not inexpensive, probably the fact that it's self-closing, or a spring hinge you're looking at, means that it's by code that you have to have it self-closing. Template pattern on the hinge leaf, that's normal stuff, okay? That would fit into most, all modern commercial steel doors and frames. And again, available in several different architectural finishes. It's probably saying that there were several architectural finishes available in this. Hopefully I was. I had to pause the video. Bommer, the last thing I'd like to show you on this is the logo. And right above it, it says, Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Just a great quality company, great quality fit and finish on a 100% domestically manufactured item. You can't go wrong with Bommer. The hinges are made to order. It's always well worth the wait, but they stock an enormous amount of material, as do we, especially in the area of wide throw hinges. Bommer, a name synonymous with contract and commercial grade hinges, along with residential material and lavatory hardware too. They have a line of very high quality solid brass lavatory hardware. Any questions on the Bommer LB4313C-045-652 single acting half surface spring hinge satin chrome, or any other Bommer product? Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.